My sister called my graphic design career a silly hobby and forced me to make her wedding invitations for free. "You're single, what else do you have to do?" she said. I agreed with a smile. But when the invitations were opened, her phone started ringing nonstop and none of the calls were congratulations. Turns out revenge looks even better when it's printed on premium cardstock, wrapped in gold foil, and delivered politely to people who think they're untouchable. My sister never thought my silly hobby could ruin her life. Neither did I at first. I've always known my position in my family. Not the bottom. The houseplants got watered more than that. And definitely not the top. That throne belonged to my sister, Daphne, and always had. I existed in the background, useful when needed, invisible when not. Daphne was the golden child. It's the one whose achievements were announced like national holidays. It's the one my parents orbited around instinctively, as if gravity itself bent in her favor. So when she got engaged, it didn't feel like news. It felt inevitable. We were sitting at our monthly family brunch, a tradition I normally avoided. I hadn't planned on coming, but Daphne had really wanted me there, which translated into my mother calling me 6 times in 40 minutes until guilt won. The restaurant patio was full of people enjoying Sunday mimosas, but our table felt staged, like a set. Daphne sat at the center, perfectly styled, perfectly relaxed. Her left hand lifted just enough for the sunlight to catch the massive diamond on her finger. "It's absolutely perfect," my mother cooed, clutching Daphne's hand as if she'd picked the ring herself. "Tyson has exquisite taste," my father nodded, lifting his coffee in silent agreement. I stared at my plate, moving food around without eating, wondering if anyone would notice if I slipped away. "My name is Summer, I'll tell you now, because no one at that table bothered to." I wasn't supposed to be there, really, just filling space until Daphne needed something. "Summer," Daphne said suddenly, turning her smile on me. That smile. The one she used right before asking for something while making it sound like she was doing me a favor. "You're awfully quiet," she said. "Aren't you excited to be part of my special day?" "Thrilled," I said, forcing a smile that felt like glass. "Congratulations." Her eyes sparkled. "I've been thinking about the wedding stationery," she said casually. "You still do that little design hobby of yours, right?" Something in my jaw tightened so hard, I felt pain shoot up my temple. 6 years of art school, 3 years building my own freelance studio, clients, deadlines, actual income. And to them, it was still a hobby. "I run a graphic design studio," I corrected quietly. "And yes, I design wedding suites." "Perfect!" Daphne clapped, delighted. "Then you can do all of it." "All of it," I repeated. She nodded eagerly. "Save the dates, invitations, programs, menus, everything." She leaned back in her chair, pleased. "It'll be your wedding gift to us." Even my father hesitated. "That's a lot of work, Daphne." "Oh, please." My mother waved him off. "Summer has time. It's not like she has a real job or a relationship to worry about." The words landed exactly where they were meant to. Sharp. Precise. Poisoned. My rates start at, "I tried." Daphne laughed, not kindly. "Don't be ridiculous. I'm your sister." Then she tilted her head, voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Besides, it's the least you can do, being single and all. You can live vicariously through my perfect wedding." I looked around the table. My father suddenly found his coffee fascinating. My mother wore that satisfied, expectant look. Daphne radiated smug confidence. Years of moments like this flooded back. My art school acceptance overshadowed by Daphne's promotion. My first major client ignored because Daphne had a new boyfriend. Every success minimized. Every achievement brushed aside. "Of course," I heard myself say. My voice didn't shake. "I'd love to." My mother beamed. "See? Summer knows how to be supportive." Daphne launched into her vision immediately. Letterpress printing. Gold foil. Custom monograms. Pinterest boards. Society expectations. "The Olivers are basically royalty in this city," she said. "Everything needs to be flawless." "I won't let you down," I promised. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. Just not the way she thought. Back in my small studio apartment, sunlight spilling across my drafting table, I opened my laptop. A message popped up from my best friend Colin. How was the family torture session? Daphne's engaged, I typed.
Guess who's designing the entire wedding suite?
Tell me you're charging triple. I smiled slowly. Better, I'm doing it for free. There was a long pause. You working for free? Who are you and what have you done with Summer? I didn't answer. Instead, I opened a blank document and began sketching. If they wanted perfect, I'd give them perfect. If they wanted exposure, I'd give them exposure. And if they wanted my heart in this project, they had no idea what was actually in my heart. Daphne's messages came nonstop. The scroll work looks cheap. Can you make the gold more gold? Are you even listening to me? I worked calmly, revised patiently, sent drafts I already knew weren't final. The truth was, I'd already finished 3 flawless versions. But Daphne needed to feel powerful, so I let her fix things until we landed exactly where I'd planned all along. One afternoon, while I was on the phone with Colin, I heard a familiar voice outside my studio door. I froze. I recognized it instantly. Tyson, Daphne's fiancé. He was laughing into his phone as he walked past. She's intense about the wedding, he said. Don't worry, babe. I'll handle Daphne. My stomach dropped. Daphne wasn't with him. She'd sent me a yoga selfie an hour earlier. I ended the call silently and pressed my ear to the door. Miss you, Val, Tyson said, lowering his voice. Last night was amazing. We'll do it again soon. Val, as in Valerie, Daphne's best friend, maid of honor. My hand flew to my mouth. I waited until his footsteps faded, then opened Instagram with shaking fingers. Valerie's account was private, but her most recent public post was still visible. A sunset photo, captioned, Summer nights and secret delights. The timestamp matched the night Daphne had called me crying because Tyson was working late. I sat in the dark as the realization settled in. I could have told Daphne, but I already knew how that would end. Jealousy, accusations. My mother saying I was making things up for attention. My phone buzzed. Save the dates need to go out next week. Don't mess this up. I stared at my designs. Elegant borders, decorative flourishes. Plenty of room for something small, something subtle, something scannable. Once I saw the truth, I couldn't unsee it. Tyson Valerie. The lies layered so neatly under Daphne's perfect life that no one had bothered to question it. Least of all me, because I'd been trained my whole life not to look too closely at Daphne's happiness, not to poke, not to disrupt. But now the truth was sitting in my chest like a live wire. I stood in my studio long after the sun had gone down, the glow from my monitor the only light left. The designs on my screen were elegant, tasteful, flawless, exactly what Daphne wanted, and exactly what I was going to use. My phone buzzed again. Daphne, did you fix the scroll work yet? Still feels heavy? I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back calmly. Working on it now. I wasn't lying. I just wasn't telling her what I was really working on. When Colin came over that night, I showed him everything. Tyson's call, Valerie's post, the timestamps, the patterns. He went quiet in that way people do when something ugly clicks into place. Are you going to tell her? He asked finally. I shook my head. She won't believe me. And your parents? They'll believe Daphne. He leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face. So what are you going to do? I turned my screen toward him. I'm going to let the truth introduce itself. He frowned. How? I zoomed in on the save the date design, the intricate gold border, the delicate flourishes winding around the edges. QR code, I said. He blinked. You're kidding? No, I replied calmly. I'm hiding it in the design. Decorative, elegant, scannable. And when people scan it, he asked slowly, they see everything. Silence filled the room. Summer, he said carefully. Once this goes out, there's no undoing it. I met his eyes. He studied me for a long moment, then sighed. Okay, he said, pulling his chair closer. Let's do this properly. The next week became a strange kind of performance. Daphne messaged constantly, micromanaging every detail, every curve of every letter. The irony wasn't lost on me. She was obsessing over perfection while her entire life was rotting underneath. I sent her drafts with tiny, deliberate flaws. A line too thick, a spacing issue, a shade of gold she didn't like. She corrected them. And every time she did, we moved closer to the final version I'd planned from the start. The QR code sat perfectly embedded in the border, small enough to be dismissed as ornamentation, clear enough for a curious guest to scan. Colin helped me build the private album. Photos, messages, hotel receipts, metadata intact. Dates, locations, screenshots. Everything backed up twice. "This is airtight," he said, scrolling. "If anyone questions authenticity, they won't get far," I finished. "Very good at documentation." My phone buzzed again. "Daphne, the Olivers are throwing an engagement party next weekend. Save the dates need to go out immediately." I smiled. "They'll be ready." The print shop smelled like ink and expensive paper. I stood there as the first save the date slid off the press, gold foil catching the light perfectly. It was beautiful, painfully so. The printer held one up, nodding in approval. "This is special. Whoever designed this knows exactly what they're doing." I swallowed. "Thank you." 300 copies. 300 envelopes. 300 small, polite bombs. Back at my studio, Colin helped me sort them by zip code. "Last chance to stop," he said lightly, sealing another envelope. I showed him my phone. Daphne had posted on Instagram. "So grateful to have my talented little sister handling our wedding stationery. Sometimes the simplest jobs bring the most joy." I laughed. "Seal the rest," I said. At the post office, the clerk raised an eyebrow at the quantity, but processed them efficiently. Each stamp hitting paper felt like a heartbeat. "All set," she said. "They'll go out tomorrow morning." I drove home in silence. That evening, Daphne stopped by to pick up some invitations for the engagement party. She swept into my studio trailing perfume and entitlement. "I need at least 30, she said. "The Olivers expect hand delivery." I handed her a stack. She inspected them carefully, holding them up to the light. "The foil is acceptable," she said, "though the font still isn't quite refined enough for Tyson's mother." "I'm sure she'll manage," I replied. Daphne's phone lit up and she smiled brightly. "Valerie just arrived at the venue," she said. "She's been such a rock through all this." She glanced at me. "That's what real friendship looks like, Summer." I smiled back. "I'm learning a lot about friendship lately." She didn't notice. She gathered the envelopes and headed for the door. "Try to come tonight if you can make yourself presentable," she added. After she left, I opened the album one last time and checked the links. Everything was ready. The next morning, my phone started buzzing early. I ignored it. At noon, Colin texted, "It's starting." I'd barely finished replying when my studio door flew open. Daphne stood there, mascara streaked, shaking, clutching her phone like a weapon. "What did you do?" "Ch," she screamed. I stayed calm. "I'll need to be more specific." She shoved her phone in my face. "Photos, messages, screenshots. Everyone's calling me," she sobbed. "The Olivers, Tyson's family, people I barely know." "Oh," I said softly. "That's unfortunate." "You planned this?" she shouted. "You sabotaged my wedding." "I designed exactly what you approved," I replied. You said it was perfect." Her face twisted with rage. The slap came fast. I didn't move. "You're jealous," she hissed. "You fabricated all of it." "Ask Valerie," I said quietly. As if summoned, Daphne's phone lit up with Valerie's name. She answered. I heard everything. The excuses, the confession, the silence. Daphne dropped into my chair, shaking. "How many?" she whispered. "How many people saw it?" I met her eyes. 300 save the dates, I said. "How many do you think scanned the code?" Her phone buzzed again. Then again. Then again. The room felt too small for what was happening. Daphne sat in my chair, her perfect posture collapsed, phone vibrating nonstop in her trembling hands. Calls, texts, notifications, her carefully curated life imploding in real time. For a moment, I didn't feel triumph. I felt clarity. This was never about revenge. It was about truth finally refusing to stay quiet. "How could you do this to me?" she whispered, looking up at me like she was seeing a stranger. I leaned against my desk. "I didn't do this to you. I just stopped protecting the lie." Her phone buzzed again. "Mom? Dad? Tyson's mother? Flurry again?" Daphne swiped frantically, tears cutting clean lines through her makeup. "You've humiliated me." "Everyone is talking." "Yes," I said calmly. "That's usually what happens when the truth comes out." She shot to her feet. "You've always hated me." That one almost made me laugh. "I didn't hate you," I said. "I erased myself for you." "There's a difference." Before she could respond, the studio door opened again. Tyson. He looked nothing like the polished fiancé from the engagement photos. His tie was loose, his hair disheveled, his face flushed with panic. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded, holding up his phone. "Why are people sending me screenshots?" Daphne spun toward him. "You tell me?" They stared at each other, years of secrets hanging in the air. "How did you get those photos?" Tyson snapped at me. I shrugged. "I'm good at details. Remember the silly little hobby?" "You ruined everything," he said. "No," I replied evenly. "You ruined it. I just formatted it." He cursed under his breath, already dialing someone, probably a lawyer or Valerie or his mother. Daphne reached for him. "Tyson, wait." He pulled away. "I need to think," he muttered, and then he was gone. Expensive shoes echoing down the hallway like punctuation. Silence followed. Then Daphne straightened her spine, wiping her face with shaking hands. "You're dead to this family," she said coldly. I looked at her, not the golden child, not the bride-to-be, just a woman standing in the wreckage of her own choices. "I've been dead to this family for years," I said. "The only difference is, now everyone can see it." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard my framed awards rattled on the wall. I sat down, opened my laptop, and watched the fallout spread. Local gossip blogs picked it up within hours. Wedding scandal rocks city's elite. Designer sister exposes cheating groom through QR code. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I'm the wedding photographer. Just wanted to say respect." Then another email. And another. Client inquiries. Media requests. Designers asking how I'd integrated digital storytelling into print. The same work my family called a hobby was suddenly being called innovative. That evening, my father came by. He looked older than I remembered. "Your mother's not taking this well," he said quietly, sitting in the chair Daphne had vacated. "I imagine not." He rubbed his hands together. "Couldn't you have handled this privately?" I turned my screen toward him. Comments, messages, people saying they already knew, but never spoke. "Everyone knew," I said. "They just preferred silence." He sighed. "Your work, it's beautiful, Summer." I should have said that years ago. I nodded. "Yes, you should have." He left shortly after. The wedding was officially canceled a week later. Daphne posted a carefully worded statement about private circumstances. The comments were ruthless. The internet, once fed truth, has no patience for spin. Meanwhile, my life shifted in ways I never expected. A gallery offered me an exhibition. A design hub downtown offered me a studio 3 times the size. A magazine called my work visual truth-telling. Colin helped me pack my old studio. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled, genuinely this time. I've never been better. I ran into Daphne one last time months later on a rooftop bar in Chicago. She looked different, less polished, more real. I handed her a silver bracelet she'd given me when we were teenagers. "I found this while packing," I said. She stared at it for a long moment. "You kept it all this time." "It meant something," I said. "Once." She looked up. "The design. It really was beautiful." "I know," I said, and I left. Now I sit at my new drafting table, sunlight pouring in through floor-to-ceiling windows. My name etched neatly on the studio door. I design honestly now, boldly, without hiding. That invitation, the one meant to celebrate a lie, ended up telling the truth instead. And in doing so, it gave me something I never had before. A voice. A boundary. A life that finally belongs to me. They wanted a free wedding gift. What they got was the truth perfectly printed.